And welcome back to the NFL Quick Talk podcast. As always, you can find the show on YouTube and Spotify. Subscribe and follow. And we're going to get right into this here. We're going to dive into the injury report, then go through the games with 3 takes on each of the games. And with the injury report, we have Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson, who will be put on IR and will miss 4 to 5 games, making Gardner Minshew the quarterback for the future for the Colts. Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson will miss 4 to 5 games with a hamstring injury. Dolphins running back Devon Achane will miss multiple games with a knee injury. Cardinals running back James Conner is out for the next 3 to 4 weeks with also a knee injury. And Cowboys linebacker Leighton Vander Esch will be put on IR with a neck injury. No timetable for him just yet. And Giants QB Daniel Jones suffered a neck injury and is considered week to week. Ravens lose to the Steelers 17-10, and the Ravens receivers dropping 7 passes really cost them the game. 3 that would have been touchdowns, 4 of them that would have been conversions for first downs and a lot more yards. My second point here is that the Steelers' D is back to being a dominant force. 2 sacks for TJ Watt and linebacker Quan Alexander, who they got in free agency, had a breakout game with 6 tackles, a sack, and 3 tackles for loss. And my bold outtake for this game is that the Ravens will not win their division. Their offense was lackluster and frankly disappointing. Lamar Jackson did not play very well, and their receivers, again, with the drop passes. And the rest of the division looks a lot better after this week, as we will find out with the Bengals and the Steelers as well playing a lot better. Colts beat the Titans 23-16, and the Colts have a 2-headed monster in the backfield. Zach Moss took the bulk of the carries for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they got Jonathan Taylor back from injured reserve, their number 1 running back and a star. Jonathan Taylor also got a 3-year deal, so he'll be with the Colts for the next 3 years. Good for him. And he did not play too much in this game, but he will play significantly more in the coming weeks, and once he's back to full health, the Colts will be a very hard team to stop with their rushing attack. And my second point here is that Ryan Tannehill is not the answer for the Colts for next year. He doesn't run very well, and he is just aging as the years go on, and he doesn't have that clutch gene in him. So I would consider, if I were the Titans, playing Malik Willis, playing Will Levis, seeing if either of them are serviceable, and then if they aren't, go out and draft a quarterback or get one in free agency. And my bold outtake for this game is that Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the league. He came in and threw for 155 yards, going 11 for 14, and he will have to play like a really great backup because he will be playing in the next 4 to 5 games. Jaguars beat the Bills 25-20 in London. These London games can get kind of crazy sometimes, and that's kind of what happened here. And my first take is that the Bills need to run the ball more. James Cook went for 5 carries and -4 yards. Damian Harris, 3 carries, 13 yards. And Josh Allen should not have to throw the ball 40 to 50 times in order for them to win. They need to have a more balanced attack to go anywhere going forward. And the Jags have a ton of weapons. Calvin Ridley is a true number 1, and Christian Kirk is a great number 2. And they have tons of great skill position players in Travis Etienne and Evan Ingram, and they all get the ball. It's evenly distributed, which is key for them. And my bold outtake is that this will be a rematch in the divisional round of the playoffs. I think that the Jaguars and Bills will see each other in the playoffs. Bengals beat the Cardinals in the desert 34-20, and look what happens when Ja'Marr Chase gets the ball. 15 receptions, 192 yards, and 3 touchdowns. A historic game for Ja'Marr Chase, and he is incredibly back to form. He was really getting open, and he played excellent. And the Bengals defense played very well. I know it is the Cardinals, but they played very well. Interceptions came from Cam Taylor-Britt, who had a pick 6, my guy, and Logan Wilson also had an interception off of a deflection. Trey Hendrickson also had a great game with 2.5 sacks. And my bold outtake for this game is that the Cardinals will have a top 3 pick in next year's draft. They did not play well at all, and they haven't shown that they can play very well pretty much all season. Eagles top the Rams in Los Angeles 23-14. And the Rams will hang around this year because of one person, and that is Sean McVay, their head coach. The roster is terrible on paper, and yet Sean McVay is taking this terrible roster and making it serviceable. They're playing around their weaknesses and playing to their strengths. Their passing attack is one of their strengths, and they're really playing to that. And their rushing attack and their offensive line are terrible, and yet they seem to be gelling and getting through this. But the Eagles are continuing to play great defense and controlling the clock, and that's what will win them most of their games. They basically doubled the amount of time they had the ball uh, over the Rams. I think they had around 38 minutes of time of possession, which is basically a 2-to-1 ratio. And the great defense as well, when they're healthy. I know their linebackers are a little stretched out and thin, but I think they'll play really well because they're very well coached, and their front seven, Jalen Carter, is definitely defensive player of the year at this point through the season. And my bold outtake is that the Eagles will only lose 3 games this season. 49ers smother the Cowboys 42-10, and like everyone else, I thought that this game was going to be the best of week 5, and yet it turned out to be one of the worst beatdowns of the week. And my first take is that Brock Purdy is a top 7, top 5 quarterback. And I think that, he sees the field. He has elite vision. He doesn't necessarily have the arm strength, but he has one of the best offensive coordinators, offensive coaches, period, in Kyle Shanahan, who draws up plays. I mean, the their play calling is like 100% the best in the league. And my second take here is that the San Francisco defense played extremely well, bottling up the Dallas offense. Fred Warner is 100% the best linebacker in all of football. And my bold out take is that Dallas will come in to the playoffs as the 7th seed. They will barely make the playoffs. Thank you for watching all the way through to the end. If you liked the video and you want a more in-depth coverage of these games, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you have a bold outtake, if you have a take on any of these games, go ahead and drop that in the comments. I always like to see those. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and be on the lookout for videos in the future. And I will see you guys on the flip side.